I knew this evening would test my patience the moment Olivia said, "It's just dinner." With her friends, just dinner meant 3 hours of comparisons in a room where the forks cost more than my paycheck. The restaurant was one of those places where the waiters glide like ghosts and nobody asks for ketchup. Chandeliers, soft music, white tablecloths. The kind of place that makes you sit straighter, even if your back hurts. Olivia had put on a navy dress that looked elegant, though much simpler than what her friends were wearing. She looked beautiful, but I already knew they'd notice the difference. Her 3 friends were already at the long table. Sarah in red silk, Jess in sparkling silver, Monica in emerald green. All of them with jewelry you could spot from the parking lot. Their husbands sat beside them, suits tailored, watches heavy, the kind of men who order wine like they're conducting an orchestra. "Olivia!" Jess jumped up, kissed her cheeks, then gave me a polite nod. "And Mason, you made it." Sarah's eyes flicked over us. "Liv, that dress is classic." A pause. "Simple but nice." Olivia smiled tightly. "Thanks, Sarah," I grinned. "Yeah, limited edition. Straight from the closet, no financing required." Alex, Sarah's husband, chuckled. Sarah didn't. We sat down. Menus opened. I realized quickly this was the kind of menu where the descriptions were longer than the actual meals. I picked something with steak in the name just to be safe. The wine arrived, poured carefully into thin glasses. Eric, Jess's husband, held it up to the light like he was grading a diamond. "So," Jess began, resting her chin on her hand, "we just got back from Italy. A villa on the coast. Private chef, wine tastings. It was magical." "That sounds amazing," Olivia said politely. "Eric knows I can't live without travel," Jess added, patting his arm. Sarah leaned in. "Mark just surprised Monica with a new bracelet. White gold. Tiny diamonds all around. Very tasteful." Monica smiled, tilting her wrist so the stones caught the light. "He knows me too well." Mark puffed his chest. "She deserves it." I sipped my water. "I surprised Olivia last week too. Made pasta. Didn't burn the sauce. Very tasteful." The husbands laughed politely. The wives smiled like they'd just smelled something unusual. Sarah's gaze landed on Olivia again. "When was the last time Mason planned something big for you?" Olivia hesitated. "Well, we've kept it simple lately. Just quiet evenings." "Quiet," Jess repeated. "That can be sweet. But you know, sometimes a woman needs excitement." "Yeah," I said. "Like when you find guacamole in your fridge and forgot you bought it. That's excitement." Alex actually laughed before Sarah silenced him with a look. Dinner arrived in perfect little portions. My steak was the size of a postcard, arranged with dots of sauce like an art project. Everyone took photos. I looked at mine like I should interview it. "This truffle pasta is divine," Monica said. "Mark knows I can't live without it." Mark nodded proudly. "Anything for her." Sarah tilted her head at Olivia. "You ever wish Mason spoiled you like that?" Olivia flushed, gave a small laugh. "He takes care of me in other ways." Jess leaned forward. "That's sweet. But sometimes it's nice not to ask, just to receive." I raised my glass. "True." Olivia received the remote yesterday without asking. "Big win." Eric laughed, then caught Jess's glare and coughed into his napkin. Conversation rolled on. Houses, cars, flights booked months in advance. I nodded at intervals, adding small sarcastic comments when I could. Olivia smiled when I did, but her friends only tightened their perfect postures. Dessert came. Tiny chocolate things on big plates. Jess clapped her hands. "Liv, you'd love the place across the river. Tasting menu, 12 courses, candles everywhere." "Sounds romantic," Olivia said. "Exactly," Sarah replied, leaning closer. "Romance should feel effortless, right?" She gave me a smile that wasn't friendly. "Some men just know." I set down my fork. "Yeah, some men know. Some men also know how to fix a leaking sink at 2 in the morning. Different talents, I guess." The husbands laughed. The wives didn't. The bill arrived. Everyone tossed down cards like it was nothing. I slid mine in quietly and prayed it wouldn't squeak. Outside, the night air was crisp. Cars waited, sleek and black. Jess hugged Olivia. "Text me later, okay?" "I want the details." Monica kissed her cheek. "You know you deserve the best, Liv." Sarah went last, holding Olivia longer than needed. "Think about what I said," she whispered, but loud enough for me to catch. Then to me, "Good night, Mason." Steady as always. "Good night, Sarah," I said. "May your diamonds keep up the good work." Her smile didn't move. She walked off with Alex, heels clicking like a clock. Olivia shoved her hands in her coat pockets as we headed for our car. "They're a bit much." "A bit," I said. "Like hurricanes are a bit windy." She laughed nervously. "They mean well." "Sure," I said. "Dentists mean well too." She gave me a look. "You're mad." "I'm observant," I said. Her phone buzzed in her purse. Probably them. She didn't check it. And in my head, I replayed Sarah's voice. "Think about what I said." We got home later than planned. Olivia kicked off her heels the second the door closed, sighing like she'd just survived a marathon. I hung up my jacket, loosened my tie, and let the silence stretch. She went straight to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and leaned on the counter. I could tell she was waiting for me to speak first. "So," I said finally, pulling off my shoes, "do we clap for tonight or just pretend it didn't happen?" She groaned. "Mason, don't start." "I'm not starting," I said. "I'm following up." What exactly were they trying to say between dessert and the diamonds? Olivia stared at her glass. "They weren't trying to say anything." "Really?" I said. "Because I'm pretty sure they nominated me for least likely to afford champagne." She gave me a look. "You're exaggerating." "Maybe, but they weren't exactly subtle, Liv. You heard it too." She sighed, sat down on the couch, and pulled her knees up. "They just think I should expect more." "More what?" I asked, sitting across from her. "More trips, more jewelry, more sauces poured with tweezers?" Her voice was quieter now. "They think you need to step up." I laughed once, sharp. "Step up where? Onto a yacht?" "Mason." "No, seriously, what do they mean by that?" She hesitated. Her fingers tapped the rim of her glass. Then she said it. "Sarah told me I should give you an ultimatum." I stared. "An ultimatum?" Olivia nodded slowly. "She said if you don't raise the bar, I should find someone who already has." For a moment the room was silent, except for the hum of the fridge. I leaned back in the chair and let out a breath through my nose. "Well," I said, "that's comforting. Nice to know your friends are running relationship boot camp behind the creme brulee." "She thinks she's helping," Olivia muttered. "Helping who? You or herself?" Olivia didn't answer. She stared down at her glass like the water might save her. "Did you agree with her?" I asked, calm but direct. She looked up, eyes wide. "No, I didn't say that. I do think you should try a little harder." "Yeah, I noticed," I said. "You smiled, you nodded, you let them keep talking." "What was I supposed to do?" she snapped. "Start a fight in the middle of the restaurant?" I shrugged. "You could have said something." "Anything." Instead, it looked like you agreed. Olivia groaned again, pressing her hands to her face. "This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you." "Because you knew I'd be upset?" "Because I knew you'd make it sound worse than it is." "Olivia, there's nothing soft about ultimatum. That's a pretty clear word." She lowered her hands, eyes tired. "I don't want an ultimatum. I don't want to leave you for someone with a bigger paycheck. But they keep telling me I should think about it, and sometimes I listen too much." I leaned forward. "So tell me, do you think they're right?" Her eyes darted away. "I don't know." "Wrong answer," I said, standing up. "Mason?" "No, really," I said, pacing now. "This is our life, Liv, not theirs. You want more? Fine, we'll figure it out." But the second you start quoting your friends like they're relationship prophets, that's not marriage. That's a group chat running our house. She flinched at that, then shook her head. You're twisting it. Am I? I said. Because from where I was sitting tonight, the entire table was a measuring contest, and I didn't even bring a ruler. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked smaller somehow, curled on the couch. I hate this, she whispered. Me too, I said. But I'm not the one suggesting ultimatums over dessert. She hugged her knees tighter, eyes shiny now. I don't want to fight. Then stop letting them start it for us, I said quietly. We sat in silence for a while, the kind that isn't peaceful, just heavy. Finally, Olivia spoke. I let out a short laugh. Oh, so I need to try harder. Sure. Let me know if I should rent a private jet tomorrow or just start with the diamond starter pack. Mason, I'm not joking, she shot back, her tone sharper now. You can make fun of it all you want, but I'm tired of feeling like I'm the only one pushing. Right, I said, crossing my arms, because keeping this whole circus running doesn't count as effort. She glared at me. Sometimes I think you don't even hear me. And sometimes, I said, standing up, I think you only hear them. That landed. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Finally, she muttered, Forget it. Gladly, I said, walking toward the bedroom. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence where every sound, the fridge humming, the floor creaking, felt louder than it should. And in that silence, one word kept circling in my head. Ultimatum. It clung to me like smoke. Morning showed up like it didn't remember last night. Gray light, quiet kitchen, the faint smell of perfume on the hallway rug. Olivia moved around the apartment in a straight line. Phone, coffee, mirror, closet. We said morning at the same time and then ran out of words. She set her mug down and opened the group chat. I didn't ask which one. I could hear it just by the way her face tilted toward the screen. Quick taps, half smiles, the tiny inhale people do when they read something that agrees with them. Jess booked the place for 7, she said, walking past me in a robe. They have a live pianist and good lighting. Apparently that matters. Lighting always matters, I said. You can't post a memory if it's under bad bulbs. She stopped. Can we not do the jokes today? I wasn't joking, I said. I was keeping it light. Like the bulbs, she pressed her lips together. The day kept going. While she did makeup in the bathroom, I stood in the doorway and watched steam curl around the mirror. Her phone buzzed on the counter, little bursts of outside opinion. She didn't reach for it. She didn't have to. It would be waiting, patient and sure of itself. What are you thinking about? She asked, not looking up. Cabinet hinge, I said. Also electrolytes. You know, man stuff. Funny, she said, but it sounded thin. She chose a dress that said, I belong at a table with candles, then tried 2 others that said exactly the same thing with different straps. She held up earrings to her ears and turned sideways, as if she wanted a second opinion from the wall. I stayed out of the reflection. Some days help is help, other days help is a scorecard. You're staring, she said. I'm memorizing, I said. For what? For later, I said. When the movie plays back. She gave me a look I couldn't file and went back to eyeliner. We passed each other in the hallway a few times like colleagues sharing an office. Polite, careful, pretending the air wasn't heavy. She asked if I'd eaten. I asked if she wanted coffee. We said thanks and no in the wrong places and let it go. Around noon she put on music, not loud, just enough to fill the edges. Up-tempo, happy, a little too shiny for a morning after. I took my laptop to the table and stared at an open document until the cursor felt like a heckler. Her phone buzzed again. She read, smiled, typed, paused, deleted, typed again. I watched the dance out of the corner of my eye. Advice always arrives dressed as encouragement. Are you working? She asked. I'm waiting, I said. For what? For the part where I understand what I'm supposed to do. She sighed. I told you, try harder. Right, I said. I keep forgetting the syllabus. She stood in the bedroom doorway and did a final mirror scan. Front, side, head tilt, breath. She looked beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with price tags. Then she adjusted a strap that didn't need adjusting and checked the time like she was already late to someone else's expectations. 7, she said, mostly to herself. 7, I echoed. She grabbed a clutch, then the bigger bag, then returned the bigger bag because it ruined the lines. She moved her wallet to the clutch and put back 3 things she wanted to bring but didn't have room for. At 6:30, she stood by the door and slipped on heels. She put on her coat and looked at me like she'd misplaced something, then decided she hadn't. You're quiet, she said. I'm measuring, I said. Measuring what? What it costs to keep up. She exhaled. We really don't have to do this. You're right, I said. We don't. She set her hand on the knob. I'll be back by 11. Take your time, I said. Good lighting deserves it. Her jaw twitched. She opened the door and paused. Mason, I want tonight to be easy. It will be, I said. The door clicked shut in that polite way doors do when they know too much. The apartment inhaled, then settled into a quieter shape. I stood there for a moment, not to be dramatic, just to confirm that the room felt exactly like a room should feel when a decision is standing in it. Then I walked to the bedroom closet. Her luggage lived on the top shelf, 2 suitcases that nested like a secret, the small cosmetics case with elastic loops, a fabric shoe bag with a broken drawstring she refused to throw out. I pulled everything down and laid it on the bed, then sat on the edge for 5 seconds of stillness. I opened the larger suitcase and started at the bottom. Jeans first, then dresses, then the sweater that looks expensive because she wears it like it is. I rolled things instead of folding them so they wouldn't wrinkle. My hands knew which pieces she reaches for when she's tired, which ones she saves for dates, which ones she says don't fit but keeps because memories fit differently. I filled the shoe bag with the nude heels that go with everything and the sneakers that go with honesty. I wrapped them in tissue so the leather wouldn't scuff and tied the broken drawstring in a knot that would hold for one more trip. The charger went in a side compartment. The hairbrush slid next to it. Her travel-size perfume. I checked the closet again and took the black scarf she always forgets until the wind reminds her. It wasn't a purge, it was a map. I closed the first suitcase and listened to the zipper run like a sentence ending. The second one was for smaller things. Socks, underwear, the book she said she'd read someday, the face mask she never uses but always packs, just in case. I placed her jewelry roll on top and tied it closed with the same carefulness I use on the trash bag when the whole day is in there. I wheeled both suitcases to the front door and parked them beside the coat rack. They stood there like 2 patient bouncers waiting for names. I adjusted their handles to the same height because it looked better that way. Then I cleaned up the bed, smoothed the comforter, and put the empty hangers together. I took out the small trash and replaced the bag. I wiped the counter. If you're going to change something big, the little things should not be a mess. For dinner, I made toast because I didn't feel like pretending to be hungry. Butter, salt, a plate. I ate standing up and drank water after because the glass was right there, and so was the sink. The clock turned its hands without asking my opinion. At 8:10, my phone buzzed. A message from my brother. Game tonight. You watching? I typed, sort of. Watching my own. He sent back a basketball emoji and a question mark. I left it unread. At 8:30, the upstairs neighbor practiced the same piano line 6 times and got it right on the 7th. I said nice out loud to no one and meant it. Progress is progress. At 8:50, I opened the window 2 inches and let in a stripe of October air. It smelled like leaves and other people's dinners. Somewhere down the block, a dog made his case against a scooter. The scooter accepted. I sat on the couch with tea I didn't want and looked at the suitcases. They didn't look threatening or sad. They looked like an if. If you want more, the door is real. If you want here, choose here. I thought about last night in that bright room with the quiet forks. I thought about the jokes that landed wrong and the laughs that landed late. I thought about Sarah's steady voice and Jess's lifted brow and Monica's soft way of saying hard things. Mostly I thought about Olivia's face when she said try harder. Not mean, not cruel, just certain, the way you sound when you repeat something often enough that it becomes yours. I picked up my phone and opened the app for the French place. The reservation reminder still sat there for next Thursday, smug and tasteful. I canceled it. Reason? Plans changed. Next, the bracelet. I prepared it as a gift. I opened my email and pulled up the thread with the boutique. Please process the refund. The owner wrote back 3 minutes later, of course. I'll reverse the charge tonight. I thanked her and stared at the sent folder until the letters stopped meaning themselves. For a minute I imagined not packing anything, just canceling and staying, keeping the surprises in my pocket until she noticed. But you can't prove to a committee that you were planning to be enough. Committees grade what they can see. So I arranged the evidence on the floor and pointed it at the door. At 10, Olivia sent me a text. Be home by midnight. I typed, cool. She added a heart. I left it hanging there like a decoration in the wrong room. I tried a show, then turned it off. I tried a book, then put it back. I walked to the door, checked the suitcases, and returned to the couch like I'd forgotten why I'd stood up. I thought about writing her a note and decided against it. Words are cheap when actions have already paid. At 11:42, a message. On my way. I wrote back, doors open. It was. The clock had just passed midnight when the key turned. The sound wasn't dramatic, just a soft metallic click, but it carried the weight of a verdict. Olivia stepped in, still smelling of perfume and restaurant air, cheeks flushed from wine and laughter that had clearly ended the second she saw the suitcases. She froze in the doorway, heels stopped tapping, eyes went wide. Mason, she breathed, like my name was now a question. Evening, I said from the couch, calm, steady. Her gaze snapped to the suitcases by the door. What the hell is this? Travel options, I said. Pick your destination. Either home or somewhere with better lighting. You packed my things? Carefully, I said. Folded, zipped, even the charger. You won't have to beg Sarah for one when she inevitably forgets hers. Mason, this isn't funny. I'm not laughing, I said. I'm done pretending this is just harmless chatter from your friends. Her jaw tightened. She stepped closer, pointing at the suitcases. You're overreacting. I raised an eyebrow. Am I? They've been auditioning me for replacements since appetizers, and you've been letting them direct the show. Tonight, you walked out like you were applying for a promotion. She crossed her arms. You think I want them to decide for me? I think you let them speak louder than you do, I said. And I'm tired of competing with a group chat for Husband of the Year. She flinched, then straightened. You think this makes you look strong? Packing my stuff? Daring me to leave? I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. No, it makes me look finished. If you think you can do better, Olivia, I won't chain you here. The door's open, the bags are ready. Your move. For a moment she just stood there, breathing hard. Then something cracked in her voice. You think it's that simple? She said. You think I just grab a suitcase and walk out because Sarah thinks she's an expert in relationships? You said yourself I should try harder, I shot back. I heard it loud and clear. Her face twisted. Anger, guilt, maybe both. I didn't mean... She stopped herself. God, Mason. Do you really believe I don't see what you do for me? I tilted my head. Do you? Her shoulders slumped, but then her chin lifted. They're wrong, she said finally. Sarah, Jess, Monica, they're all wrong. They live off their husbands' wallets and call it love. I let them get in my head. I'm sorry. I studied her face. She was trembling, but not from anger now. From the realization she'd let the poison drip too long. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. I don't want Paris trips or bracelets. I want you, and I hate that I made you doubt it. For the first time all night, I didn't answer with sarcasm. I just looked at her. I'll cut them off, she said suddenly, sharper than I expected. I'll tell Sarah to back the hell off. I don't need friends who make me think less of my husband. I leaned back, folding my arms. Big words, you sure? Yes, she said without hesitation, because I'm sick of walking out of dinners feeling like I should apologize for not being married to a billionaire. I'm done. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was raw, open. Finally, I nodded toward the bags, then unpacked them. She let out a shaky laugh, half tearful. You really folded my sweater, didn't you? Neatly, I said. It's on top. Couldn't risk wrinkles in case you stormed out dramatically. She cracked a real smile then, the kind I hadn't seen all week. You're impossible. Maybe, I said, but I'm yours. If you want me. She swallowed, then knelt by the suitcase and unzipped it. Not crying, not begging, just decisive. I do. And as the zipper slid open, it sounded less like luggage and more like something heavy lifting off the room. The morning after Olivia unpacked her bags, the apartment felt different. Not lighter, not heavier, just sharper, like everything had edges again. She moved quietly, making coffee, then came to the table where I sat with mine. I talked to them, she said, no hesitation. I raised an eyebrow. Already? First thing this morning. She set her cup down and looked me in the eye. I told them if they keep disrespecting you, if they keep treating you like you're not enough, I'm done. I won't keep friends who drag my marriage through the mud. I blinked. I wasn't used to this side of her, direct, protective, drawing a line. And what did they say? I asked. Jess tried to laugh it off. Monica stayed quiet. Sarah, she sighed. Sarah said I was being dramatic. I told her I wasn't. I told her I've made my choice and it's you. If they can't respect that, then we're done. For a second, I just sat there. Then I leaned back, letting out a slow breath. Well, remind me to never get on your bad side. Olivia cracked a small smile. You already are. But you're also on my side, so it cancels out. I chuckled. Math checks out. That conversation stuck with me, in a good way. For the first time in weeks, it felt like we were on the same team. Still, part of me knew Sarah wouldn't just fade into the background. People like her don't retire gracefully. They wait for a stage. 3 days later, the stage showed up in the least glamorous place possible, the grocery store. I was in the produce aisle, debating whether the organic apples were worth the extra $1, when I heard the unmistakable click of designer heels. I didn't even need to look up before I heard her voice. Mason? Sarah said smoothly, like she'd just spotted prey in a nature documentary. What a surprise. I glanced at her cart. Perfectly arranged, avocados lined up like soldiers, flowers that matched her scarf, sparkling water bottles stacked like decor. Because, of course, even her groceries had to look expensive. Sarah, I said flatly, picking up a bag of oranges. Didn't know Whole Foods doubled as a runway. She gave a little laugh, tilting her head. Always with the jokes. Tell me, how's Olivia? Great, I said. Why? She leaned on her cart, sunglasses still on indoors. Well, last time we spoke, she seemed conflicted. I just hope she's not letting herself get too comfortable. A woman like her deserves to reach higher. I set the oranges in my cart. You mean higher like Italy, Villa higher? Or bracelet with tiny diamonds higher? Her smile widened. You know what I mean? Sometimes women need a push. Ultimatums work wonders. I straightened, looking her dead in the eye, calm, steady. Funny thing about that word, Sarah. Ultimatums are for hostages. My wife isn't one. Her smirk wavered, but she recovered. Don't be sensitive. I was only trying to help Olivia see her potential. Help? I let out a short laugh. You mean convince her she's better off without me? That's not help, Sarah. That's sabotage with a side of wine. She blinked, finally taking the sunglasses off. Mason, you're taking this too personally. No, I said evenly. I'm taking it exactly as personally as I should. You tried to cut me out of my own marriage, and Olivia made her choice. You lost. She shifted her weight, the first crack in her perfect posture. So what now? You keep her on a leash so she doesn't listen to reason? That was my cue. I smiled, leaned on my cart, and said, "Oh no, Sarah. No chains, no leash. Olivia stays because she wants to. Every single day. That's what scares you, isn't it? That she chose me, not the life you keep advertising." The smirk was gone now. Her lips pressed into a thin line. I gestured at her cart. But hey, great flower choice. Matches your scarf. You win the style points, at least. I pushed my cart past her, leaving her frozen between the apples and the bananas. For once, Sarah didn't have a rehearsed comeback. She just stood there, holding her sunglasses like they might shield her from the fact that not every woman wants her brand of happiness. When I got home, Olivia was curled on the couch with a blanket and a book. She looked up. "How was shopping?" "Educational," I said, dropping the bags on the counter. I had a chat with Sarah. Her eyebrows shot up. And? And let's just say she won't be auditioning me for replacement roles anymore. Olivia smiled, relief clear in her eyes. Good. I sat beside her, grabbing a corner of the blanket. Told her no chains here. You stay because you choose to. Every day she leaned against me, resting her head on my shoulder. Exactly. And for the first time in a long time, the silence between us wasn't heavy. It was simple, solid, ours. A week later, Olivia deleted the group chat. No announcement, no dramatic speech, just gone. Her phone was quieter, and so was our apartment. Sometimes I'd catch her scrolling and then stopping, like her thumb forgot there wasn't a constant stream of advice waiting. She didn't say she missed them, and I didn't ask. Some silence doesn't need filling. We went back to small things, grocery runs, movies on the couch, arguing over which takeout place was better. It wasn't glamorous, and it sure as hell wasn't Instagram-worthy, but it was real. One night, Olivia curled up next to me and muttered, half asleep, "You know, they were wrong." All of them. "Yeah?" I said. "Yeah." "Because diamonds don't hug you back." I laughed quietly, kissed her hair, and turned off the light. If love was a competition, I'd have lost it months ago. But it wasn't. It was a choice. One she made every day. And that was worth more than any bracelet Sarah could flash in a candlelit restaurant. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.